I don't care if it is your first time taking the exam, the second time taking the exam, the third time, the fourth time. Who really cares? What they do not tell you is that the bar exam is going to take you on a whirlwind of emotions. You're going to be an emotional wreck, and that is normal and that is okay. And I really think we need to normalize the discussion around failing the bar exam. It is totally normal to fail the bar exam.
Girl, what you settling for? Yeah, we ballin', we settling score. You know I need that scene that down. I'm trying to win.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. I am so glad to be bringing in the new year with all my lovely subscribers. And before I even begin, obviously let's address the elephant in the room. The fact that I've been gone for about like 4 or 5 months. Eek. And I have a perfect explanation for that. Essentially, life happens, okay? It is what it is. I am back now and I'm ready to give you guys new tips and hopefully reach my New Year's goal of putting out a video every week. So please just do me a favor. If you guys want to continue seeing content from me, please just hit that like button and that subscribe button, and I will continue to make videos for you guys. So let's talk about why you really came, why you really clicked on this video, and obviously it's to talk about the bar exam and all the things that they do not tell you about the exam. Yes, that horrendous exam, that rite of passage that all prospective lawyers have to go through in order to become a practicing attorney. Okay, first and foremost, what they don't tell you about the bar exam is how to study. I'm talking about they don't tell you how long to study, they don't tell you what to use to study, they don't tell you what exactly you should be studying. So let's start off with when to study. The assumption usually is, hey, let me start when I graduate from law school. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with this approach. You can completely pass the bar exam if you just start studying right after graduation and you have your, 10 to 12 weeks to study. That's completely doable. Just keep in mind, if you are one who takes a little longer to learn, and obviously you might be questioning, like, how do I know that I need more time to study? Just really think, like, in law school when you were studying for exams, do you think you needed more time to gauge the material? And maybe you should probably extend your studying period a little longer than that recommended 10 to 12 weeks. So you can start studying in February, March. But I do recommend, if you do a longer study period, that means the hours that you're studying each day should be shorter. So if you were studying after graduation and you had that 10 to 12 weeks, you can do 8 hours a day. But if you said, hey, I need more time, you do 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. We don't want you to have that burnout. All right, next, let's talk about bar prep courses. What they don't tell you is, first, you don't have to enroll in a bar prep course. Is that the best option? I don't think so, because I really think that the bar exam is very intense and you need all the help that you can get. But the question is, do you have to enroll in the bar prep courses that your school offers? And that answer is no. In law school, there are 3 bar prep courses that are really essentially talked about. That is Barbie, Themis, and Kaplan. And often what goes on is you have the student recruiters out there saying, hey, enroll in our class. Early enrollment will probably get you a free iPad, free donuts, or get you some kind of swag or cool gift that will entice you to enroll in that program. I know that we all want to have a cool iPad, or maybe a free donut is just really pulling you in because you're not yourself when you're hungry. But please do not let the free gifts get you, okay? Don't let it influence you, because at the end of the day, we need to know what program works best for you. Please, in advance, research the bar prep programs, okay? Because there are little nuances that will either make your studying harder or easier. You gotta know, like, what is a good learning style for you. In order to show a good example of this, I'm going to share with you guys some differences on Barbie, Kaplan, and Themis, just so you can see how different bar prep courses look. So essentially, Barbie is big on making sure their students have all the information needed to succeed. Barbie has 4-hour lectures for each law subject. Just imagine sitting in a 4-hour contract lecture trying to figure out what on earth out of all this information is the nuance of the black letter law? Maybe for you that's hard to depict because you're overwhelmed with so much information, while it might be perfect for someone else who needs to see all the big picture things. In comparison, Themis kind of breaks down the law into little segments. So essentially they can have a 10-minute video on negligence, so you can really digest that information and the nuance of that law, and then you can click on the next segment that's 10 minutes and, you know, discuss the defenses for negligence. And a lot of people I know preferred that. The other thing I learned about Barbary is that they do not have real MBE practice questions. And you're probably like, what does that even mean? I think the most helpful way to study for the MBE is to practice using questions that were on previous bar exam tests. But Barbary actually creates their own bar exam MBE questions that they think is similar to mimic the exam, but it's not the actual exam questions from previous years. And that, for me, was no bueno, because I want it to be as lifelike as possible to the real exam. But for some that might be okay, because Barbary tries to create all these tricks in one question that they think prepares them better for the real MBE questions. But again, for me, that did not cut it. I needed to know the real MBE questions. And I honestly don't know much about Kaplan, but I did take Kaplan for the LSAT. And if you were like me and you took Kaplan for the LSAT and your LSAT score wasn't the one that you wanted, maybe, you know, Kaplan would not be the best for you for bar prep either. And what they do not tell you is that you don't have to pick any of those 3 courses. You can use other bar prep courses and resources to help you study. But I did not know JD Advising, which I highly recommend because it really breaks down the law that you need to know. And they provide you outlines that literally covers every law that was issued in previous exams. So literally in JD Advising outlines, it's literally testing you only on things that were in previous exams, and I think that really helps you save time and narrows your focus on what to study. Also, you have UWorld and Adapt Bar, which are programs that just have simulated MBE questions from old past exams. And it's great because you get to literally see your score electronically. When you get an answer wrong, they give you a detailed explanation on why your answer was wrong. The difference between UWorld and Adaptabar, when you get an answer wrong in Adaptabar, I feel like they give you a lengthy explanation that might be hard for you to digest, while UWorld literally gives you illustrations and pictures for you to easily digest the law. I'm a very visual person, so I prefer UWorld if you haven't noticed. But essentially it boils down to you really need to do your research in advance and figure out what program really caters to your learning style. Okay, what they do not tell you is that what you need to do more than anything when studying for the bar exam is practice, practice, practice. What I did not know and what no one told me was that the bar exam is not pure memorization. I thought it was, because all I heard was students say, hey, you have to memorize all the law, especially for the essays. You have to, you know, recite the law back and forth. And so what I did, I got my book from Barbary and I would literally memorize every single sentence in that book like a fool, thinking that I had to know every single law that way. I can tell you now that I knew the law, memorized it like the back of my hand. I could literally recite any law. If you said, what are the elements for murder? I could literally recite it back to you. Like I wrote the freaking law myself. For the bar exam does not mean just purely memorizing. The best way to study for the bar exam is to practice. Practice the MBE questions, practice the essays, and practice the MPT. Practice is so big that I can confidently say that you could literally skip the lectures and just start practicing with the MBE questions and the essays. But this advice is more for people who've taken it the second, third time, because the first time everything's new, everything's scary, so you might not feel comfortable with skipping the lectures and just going straight into practice, and I totally understand that, so you don't have to do that. But if you are taking it for another time, I definitely recommend skip those lectures. Don't do it again. Waste of time. Just start practicing. And when you are practicing, write down what you got wrong, write down what you didn't know in an outline, and that will start to build up your knowledge. And what is key is if you're in a UBE jurisdiction, half of the bar exam, I'm talking 50%, is multiple choice. It's very essential that you nail down the multiple choice problems, and the best way to do that is practice. Go to UWorld, adapt to bar, and practice those questions. And something that I highly recommend is to master the highly tested questions. And you're probably wondering, like, hey Kamisha, what's the most highly tested questions? I got the solution for you. Go to jdadvising.com or just in Google and be like JD Advising most highly tested questions, and they literally break down to you guys what the highly tested questions are. Okay, so I got my computer here just so I can provide a good explanation of how JD Advising breaks this down. So for instance, torts, we know there's going to be 25 questions on the MBE that addresses torts. Negligence will be 12 to 13 of those questions. Strict liability and products liability will be 3 to 5. Intentional torts 3 to 5. Other torts 3 to 5 of those questions will fall in those categories. So what's most important is that you get the highly tested correct. So when you're on Adaptabar or UWorld, you have that opportunity to filter out the subject where you can literally study the most highly tested question in each subject. And right now, you know, for torts it's going to be negligence. So when you hit 80% or higher consistently on the negligence, and you know, like, okay, now I can focus on intentional torts where I know the exam will probably have 3 to 5 questions. Now that I'm thinking about it, what they do not tell you is that you need to study for the MPT. I mean, obviously, if you're in bar prep course, they say, oh yes, you know, practice the MPT. But you know, you really don't think anything of it because you're just like, wow, you get a random fact pattern and a random questions. Like, how can you really study for that? But what they do not tell you is that the MPT, literally puzzle that repeats itself over and over. You just got to figure out the right pieces to fit in the puzzle. And I can easily do a YouTube video just on studying the MPT. So let me know if you would like that content for your bar prep studying. But the MPT really just tests your organizational skills, your reading comprehension skills, and your ability to pay attention to details. But you need to practice this, and I say you need to do it either once or twice a week during your bar prep studying, because you gain a lot of points that are essentially cushion points if you mess up on other areas of the test, and you want to have that always. So one thing that they do not tell you is that many people get a tutor for the bar exam. I learned this the hard way the first time I took the exam. I tried to do things on my own. I have a big habit of doing that. And after I took the test, the friends who I graduated with told me that they had a tutor to assist them in their bar prep studying. I even learned that my school was actually reaching out to students and saying, hey, do you need a tutor? We can provide one for you for free just to assist you. Don't feel like, hey, I'm a dummy if I have a tutor, or people will think less of me if I have a tutor. No, trust me, everyone pretty much has a tutor, because who really wants to take this exam again? I'm sure you don't. So put your pride aside, get a tutor. Most people have them. What they do not tell you about the bar exam is that bar prep is expensive. Okay, like I'm talking about, it takes all of your money. And then if you didn't have money, it's gonna take the money that you didn't have. How is that possible? We don't know. Bar prep is expensive. Okay, let's really do the math here. If you're gonna do a bar prep course, roughly that's around $2,000. If you want to do a tutor, roughly about additional $2,000. If you want to use Adaptive Bar and UWorld in order to get that extra MBE question, I think their programs are about $400. Then depending on your jurisdiction, you have to actually pay to fill out the application form. So in Maryland, it's about $750 to apply for the bar exam and being able to take it. And then in addition to that, if you fail the bar exam, you have to pay I think about $400 to retake the exam. And then when you pass the exam, you have to pay, I think, about $25 to $50 to just be admitted. Being a lawyer is not cost friendly at all. So if you are trying to do this route and you want to be an attorney, know that it's going to cost you. And that's why it's very important to make sure you grind it out your first time so you don't have to retake it, because you don't want to have to repay for prep courses or tutors. So another thing they don't tell you when you're studying for the bar exam is really to study smarter, not harder. I know when we're doing something for the first time, you know, we kind of panic and freak out and think we can do it on our own vices. But the reality is you can't study for 12 hours a day. You can't study for 16 hours a day. You're not absorbing that material, and your brain really needs time to rest and recoup and recover. So my recommendation to you is only study 6 to 8 hours a day. I know that sounds crazy, but I tell you that if you study smarter, which I said earlier in the video, as in practice the most highly tested questions, even going to jdadvising.com, which they literally put out JD bar predictions, which literally narrows it down to like what subject they think they're going to test on the MBE, what subtopic they think they're going to test within the subject. And I'm not going to lie, most of the time their predictions are pretty accurate, so just make sure you have their predictions down pat in addition to what you're studying. And if you need to do one-sheets, MBE one-sheets, I think that's also essential in your bar prep studying. Alright, so we are coming to the end of this video, which you're probably like, thank God. And if you made it this far, you're the real one. But what they do not tell you is that the bar exam is going to take you on a whirlwind of emotions. You're going to be an emotional wreck, and that is normal, and that is okay. You are going to sometimes feel super confident, like you're able to take on this exam. You're going to be able to ace all the questions, and maybe some days you literally do ace all the questions and you're going to be on a high. And then other days you're going to feel horrible. You're probably not going to do great on the questions. You're probably going to be frustrated and say like, forget this, I don't understand. Like, there's no way for me to memorize all of this information, which is true. Hence why they only say you need 60% to pass the exam. But know that all these emotions are valid, but don't let those emotions stop you from reaching your goal. The end is to pass the exam, and in order to do that, you have to be confident, you have to be calm, and you have to be strategic. And like I said, if you utilize all the tips that I've given you, then I think you're gonna be absolutely fine. And you need to make sure that you're eating healthy as well. Like, what you put into your mind, body, and soul as you study is going to be key, because your brain really needs to be able to absorb that information. So your diet helps with that, especially if you're eating superfoods. Exercising also helps with that. Make sure that you take time to yourself. Self-care is extremely important, because if you don't have self-care, you're going to run yourself ragged and you're not going to be able to absorb that material because you never gave time to yourself. And I really think we need to normalize the discussion around failing the bar exam. It is totally normal to fail the bar exam. If you're a first-time bar exam taker, I'm not saying you're going to fail the bar exam. I just want to make it clear that it's not the end of the world if you don't pass on your first time. Some people have to take it twice. Some people have to take it 3 times. Some people are fortunate to take it only 1. But just because you do not pass on the first time does not make you inferior to anyone else. It does not mean that you won't be a good lawyer. It does not mean that people are smarter than you. All it means is that there are some mistakes that you made in an exam, and you need to address those mistakes going forward when you take it the next time. I can talk hours and hours about how this test is not made for minorities, how this test does not do a great job on testing how efficient you can be as a lawyer, but I'm not going to get into that. Failing the bar is just completely normal. Michelle Obama failed the bar, most powerful woman in the world. JFK failed the bar, ended up being president of the United States. So many others failed the bar. Kamala Harris failed the bar. Like, we can go on, and clearly that didn't stop them from reaching any goal they have for themselves in life. So I just don't want you to feel pressure while you're studying for this exam, saying like, oh, I can't fail because I don't want to look like the dummy out of my peers. Like, it's not about that. We know standardized testing sucks. We know the bar exam can act as a gatekeeper for minority law students who want to enter the legal profession. And I want to do this because I want to see you make it. So don't give up. Be confident. Get through this. You got this. And take a deep breath because you're going to pass this bar exam. So that is all my tips for today. And I know I might have overwhelmed you guys, and I really hope I didn't. But I just really want you all to succeed in the legal profession. I really want to see you guys on the other side. I want to see you at conferences where you can say, hey, Kalisha, you know what? I watched your videos and it really helped me. I love meeting people, and I really love helping people, especially if you're a minority or first generation law student. I really love to see the underdog win. And if you are belonging to a BIPOC community, please don't be discouraged. The bar exam was not made for us. It really operates as a gatekeeper to help us stay out of the profession. There's so many challenges, financial challenges, standardized testing that we have to face. And I know we all want to burn down how the system is right now, and that's nice and dandy, but that's a process, and I think that's going to take time. But in the meanwhile, the best way for me to help burn down the system is to make sure I can assist the people who the system's set up against. Just giving you so if that means giving you more tips so you don't make the mistakes that I did, or giving you more advice on how to succeed, I'm gonna do it, because if we can get more minorities in the profession, or more people who quote unquote don't belong in the profession, then we get enough people to burn down the system from the inside. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I know it's probably long and lengthy, but please comment below if you want to see more content like this. If you want any more help with the bar exam and you want further details on certain areas, like how to study for the MPT or how to study for the MBE, please let me know. I will do a video according to your needs. I wish you guys the best of luck. I know you guys are gonna pass, so you know, can't wait to hear your success stories. All right, later. That scene is seen that down, I'm trying to win more. Like, damn, don't you need